All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what is this, episode five, six?
It's episode six. We're now on to the second hand of episodes. I mean, we're making progress here, Dalton. We're getting more content out.
Yeah, oh wow. I completely lost track, I'll be honest. That's not a good sign, but hey, we're
That's
here.
all right. It's all right. Happens to the best of us.
And we got a fun-filled episode for you guys today. You'll get to hear, well, obviously our opinions on things. Um, uh, but a little kind of, we got a little treat for you guys with some all-star voting today. Oh, should we start with some NBA here, though, and get all that news all the way? It's been a big last few days for Timberwolves fans, and let's hop right in. What do you
Dalton,
got?
Dalton, I got two words for you. Naz Reid.
Yes,
Extension came out this week. He's got a 5 year, $125 million deal, and it's great to see a cult hero here in Minnesota get broken off.
yeah, big time pickup here. I don't really know what else to say there. I mean, he's been a key contributor here. That's just something the Timberwolves haven't been able to do in the recent years anyways, is sign, we've always kind of had that big stud, but we've never been able to sign, the guys that surround him to extension. So this is really big, I think, for the organization, and really a good time to be a T-Wolves fan.
Oh, absolutely. And it's cool to see like the Naz Reid story. He was undrafted, develops through the Iowa Wolves,
That's right.
goes to the NBA team, the Minnesota Wolves, becomes a cult hero. I mean, he had his own towel, own tattoos at some point. People just got the Naz Reid tattoos. Everybody loves him. And he's
Mhm.
able to be a key contributor to a team that has had a lot of recent success. Six man of the year. And I think this is a good extension to have if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, you can really tell that management is really recognizing, this is our time right now to win, and this is going to be this is a big extension. As people always say, you usually have a 4 to 5 year window, and we're in that right now, and being able to sign him through that window is huge.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that got extended this week. Julius Randle also signed a 3 year, $100 million contract with the T Wolves. So it's good to see where they're able to extend these guys at pretty reasonable prices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some bargaining or money negotiations were pretty tough on each side, but that just shows to what kind of people they are and how much winning means to them. Maybe taking less than other teams might pay them, and because they realize, this is my chance to get a ring here. We're in that window. I love to see it. Julius Randle, great player, freaking. Uh, yeah, he's been a great addition ever since we got him, and this is big.
And I think you're also seeing the upside of trading Carl Anthony Towns.
Mhm.
Because obviously we get Julius Randle in the return, but we also free up some salary cap room that we can use on a Naz Reid and the next Rudy Gobert that we just selected with the pick we got back from the New York Knicks. And I love Cat, but we have three really good players that will help us win. And I think we got the better end of that return for Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, this is one of those rare situations in sports in general where both teams really felt like they won the trade. You know what I mean? The Cat looked awesome in the postseason this past year for the Knicks, and they feel like they're in their championship time frame here. So, they ended up firing Tom Thibodeau. Unfortunately, I was a big fan of him, but they felt like they're in their time frame to get a championship. And the T-Wolves, who are making great or having great success with that trade with their additions and freeing up salary cap. This is yeah one of the rare occasions where both teams really feel like they won the trade.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention Julius Randle and then Dante DiVincenzo,
Mhm.
key contributor to the Wolves last year. And it'd be interesting to see how they progress as they get more cohesion, because that was probably the biggest problem with the Wolves was they're struggling to get cohesion earlier in the year. Unfortunately, this means that nah, we're gonna probably have to say goodbye to,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. It's just kind of it is the business, and that will happen. And I think it's interesting you mentioned Tom Thibodeau. Knicks still have not yet to find a replacement for him. We're after the draft. And another interesting move that I saw in the front office, the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment way relieved Masai Ujiri of his role as president of the Raptors a day after the draft took place. And you would think,
Wow.
yeah, it would you would think you'd want to do that when the regular season ended. Get your guy in place to get his guys drafted and whatnot and make his mark on the team. It's interesting to me that they make that move after the draft.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not sure what's going on there. Um,
I have I don't know, but I know that he was probably told before the draft that he was I'm gonna guess he was very hands off, right, especially during the draft, like because I have a feeling he knew he was dead man walking.
yeah,
Because like when they probably decided to make that decision, it's you might as well have somebody there. It's better than having nobody there. So I'm sure it was an interesting dynamic for sure. And the regular season ended a little while ago. Like the Raptors season ended a while ago.
right,
That feels like that's a time to make the move. Like you mentioned, Tom Thibodeau get fired. Yeah, it's understandable they don't have a coach right now because their season ended 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's not
right.
they've had a lot of time interviewing some candidates. Don Staley, the women's basketball coach, chief among them. I'll be interested to see who they ended up hiring.
Yeah, you know, that'll be an interesting process. Hearing that she is one of the top candidates, that would do a few things for that organization. I mean, well, one, it'd be the first woman head coach in professional basketball, which, that, and with that comes a lot of endorsements. I feel like you get a lot of publicity there. Maybe get some unknown supporters that you didn't know you have come out, and so that could do wonders. And I hear she's a great coach, so it could be a really good move.
Yeah, obviously, that small market New York Knicks team needs all the publicity they can get. I mean, like I'm sure nobody would talk about that move if it were to happen. I'm sure, but no, the Knicks. I'm sure they're going to search far and wide to get the best coach. Like at the very start of the process, they were after the really big fish of current head coaches and couldn't get any of them to even have an interview. None of the teams said, "Hey, back off. We're not letting go of these guys. Like, find somebody else." And they're currently in the process of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like New York's a unique kind of, or being the next head coach would be a unique job as well. Obviously big market, New York City and everything, but you know, for a first time head coach, I don't know how many coaches would want, that job as their first head coaching job. It's something that you dream of, but I don't prefer to be in a small market like Minnesota or OKC, but there's just so many unique dynamics to coaching in New York City. So,
Oh,
but
absolutely. You got like you got two big strikes against you if you become a first-time head coach with that Knicks. Obviously, the big market that you talked about, everybody talks about you. The sky is always falling after you lose a game, so it's not like you have a little bit of grace. Plus, it is high expectations there.
mhm.
Like they're coming off their best season in a quarter of a century. So it's like you're expected to win, and you're expected to win now, and you're gonna hear about it if you don't. And I just think that's a pressure cooker. But hey, sometimes pressure makes diamonds.
Oh, okay. I can't remember his name.
Head scratching moves this week. Like I was very surprised, like watching the draft, the New Orleans Pelicans. So they traded up 10 spots back in the lottery from 23 to 13 to draft Derek Queen from Maryland, and they also had to throw in an unprotected first round pick next year. Now, if you're an NBA fan, you know first round picks are pretty useless. Like they throw them around like they're candy. But like I think it's weird to me that you're gonna go to 13th, which pretty valuable, but it's not like it's Cooper Flag or gonna be a top 5 pick or anything like that. Plus now you got an unprotected pick, which if you're good, that's fine, but the Pelicans aren't this great team. Plus, it's not just their pick, it's the better of their pick or the Bucks pick. So now you're putting into your faith into another team that they're going to perform well, and they might trade Giannis too. So I'm very concerned that could get very ugly very fast for that Pelicans team.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on there. Yeah, and trading up 10 spots, in the NFL, I mean, that can make a huge difference in the NBA. I mean, a lot of those, mid to late first round guys, I mean, they're all pretty comparable to each other. And I mean, that just kind of says, they had their heart set on that guy. And I mean, I just wishing them the best here with that pick. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's also more difficult, like relying on another team to be good as well.
Mhm.
Like if the Bucks just completely tank, that could be a top five, top however much, and you're giving it away. Like I would keep that because you never know what that would be, but or maybe try to put protections. But I'm sure Atlanta was shrewd negotiators and wasn't gonna let that trade happen with protections on it. So well, hopefully it all works out, and maybe this will be a big nothing burger in 5 years.
Exactly.
Mm,
Now, moving on from the Pelicans draft, update me on Malik Beasley. I read briefly on it here, and something very interesting going on there.
Yeah, Malik Beasley is in big trouble. Unfortunately, he's currently being investigated for ties to a gambling operation, which, as a professional athlete, that's just something you never want to be involved with. Malik Beasley was a former Timberwolf, and he did have his own run-ins with the law here. Spent an extended stay in Wright County jail for brandishing a weapon during a real estate visit at somebody else's house. I don't know what the full story was, but just he just keeps finding himself in bad situations, and like this could be even worse of a situation because there's a realistic possibility he doesn't come back from this if it goes the wrong way.
Yeah, something. Yeah, uh, gambling in sports is something that we've unfortunately kind of seen more and more of the last few years, especially in college stuff with the whole Iowa and Iowa State thing just the last few years. But it's not going away. I mean, it's easier than ever to bet on stuff, but it's also easier than ever to get caught. It's just like the situation here, so it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's even worse for Malik Beasley. Even if he is innocent, everything that since it's come out, everybody's just responding with lowlights of his, like, "Oh, come on, man!"
Mm.
Like now everybody's just exposing his worst moments, like recently, and it's like everybody's like, "Yeah, he looks guilty," and like that's almost worse.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to look that bad. Yeah, I mean, I hope for Malik that this is just a big nothing burger and he's gonna get off all scot-free, but we saw this with Jonte Porter. He got busted for it and is out of the league right now, and like we don't want to see that happen to anybody else.
right. Yeah, just that's interesting. Yeah, you'd think uh, pro pro players would learn, but I guess some don't, and yeah, just bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if how many cautionary tales are we gonna have?
Right. I mean, we've all seen it, with Pete Rose, I mean, being banned. Um, and that was really kind of the first known, case to ever come out about gambling in sports, it seems like. And, it's just coming out more and more. Uh, every year it seems like, somebody's getting in trouble for it. Just so, yeah, weird, but, unfortunate.
Yeah, hopefully it all resolves itself out and the proper punishments are doled out for this, if whether or not the he's guilty. Obviously, he's going to be kicked out of the league, innocent. Hopefully, nothing happens to him. Just a bad look overall for the NBA and Malik Beasley.
All right. Well, jumping ships from the NBA to the NFL, the Dolphins and Steelers made made a big trade here. This is big in a lot of reasons considering the players involved. But all right, well, jumping ships from the NBA to the NFL, the Dolphins and Steelers made made a big trade here. This is big in a lot of reasons considering the players involved. But just under a month away from training camp, and this is a rather significant. But that trade being the Dolphins going to be getting Minka Fitzpatrick and a fifth round pick in 2027, while the Steelers will be receiving cornerback Jalen Ramsey, tight end Janu Smith, and a 2027 seventh round pick. What do you think? Kind of thinking on it?
I mean, it's interesting. It kind of came out in two waves. So there was the initial Jonnu Smith trade, the Jonnu Smith seventh round pick for a fifth round pick. And obviously, offensive coordinator Arthur Smith for the Steelers coached Jonnu in a few different spots and loved having Jonnu Smith in his offense, involved him heavily. So it's no surprise that Arthur would want him back in the Steelers. Pretty not as significant trade. And then all of a sudden, Jalen Ramsey's traded to the Steelers, and Steelers fans are celebrate like, wow, we just got Jalen Ramsey. We're gonna have a elite secondary. Then you see who they gave up and Minka Fitzpatrick, and all of a sudden they're all right. How do I feel about this? And Minka Fitzpatrick, originally drafted by the Miami Dolphins, spent his rookie year there, got traded during his second year for a first round pick to the Steelers. So now he gets traded back to Miami.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about, what these organizations kind of got cooking right now, you know, defensively and that stuff. Yeah, the Steelers won this trade with Janu Smith and getting Jalen Ramsey, but also you're giving up an all-pro Minka Fitzpatrick. That's going to be hard to replace. I mean, Jalen Ramsey can only do so much, unfortunately. But yeah, very interesting.
I mean, they do have a very, very good cornerback room right now with Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay's coming in this offseason, and then Joey Porter Jr. also in that room. So it's like you have a very good cornerback room. I mean, up front, you're going to have no problems as long as you can get TJ Watt back into the building with him and Alex Highsmith rushing the passer. I mean, you're going to be very good about getting to the quarterback, covering receivers. I think they're going to have a very good defense. All of a sudden, they're reinvigorated. Have number 8 right now back there, Aaron Rodgers, getting acclimated to Pittsburgh. I could see, I mean, Pittsburgh is kind of making some good changes this offseason. And the Dolphins, I think they went all uphill and they're kind of flat. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind them picking up Minka Fitzpatrick here.
Yeah, and for the Steelers, this is going to be one of those years that I feel like they could take it over the edge. Obviously, in the past, the Patriots have always kind of been the team that's gotten in their way in the playoffs and everything. I mean, AFC is, I mean, as it's ever been right now with the Bills, Chargers, and Chiefs, obviously. But we're seeing a Steelers team that could very well make a run in the postseason with a gunslinger with Aaron Rodgers. Has a nice a good group of weapons on the outside, and a very aggressive defense with a good secondary. I think they're gonna shock a lot of people this year. This is probably Aaron Rodgers' last go at it. I mean, I assume he'd want to go out on top. So
Yeah, Aaron said previously this is probably his last go around, and like think about how good that AFC North is, where realistically you could see this Steelers team finishing third in that division. Realistically,
uh,
Ravens going to be insanely tough. Bengals will score a lot of points, and hopefully that puts them in good position to win a few ball games. And like Steelers can get to that second, probably compete for that second spot. I don't know if they can get over that Ravens hump. I mean, they're definitely not going to finish fourth. I mean,
right,
we know who that's going to be. But like
yeah.
the Dolphins, I think, yeah, it's just the Legion of Zoom is going to have to do a lot for that team. And hopefully they don't go through that December skid that they go through every single year.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the more and more I think about it, for years and years, the NFC's always kind of been, that tougher division. I've always kind of felt almost like a new team every year. I mean, that was during Tom Brady's and the New England Patriots run there, where They're just wiping everybody out of there. But the AFC is pretty dang tough right now. This is going to be an interesting NFL season.
Oh,
I'm I'm
absolutely.
I'm looking forward
And
to it. I mean, all these teams got something cooking good, and this is going to be a very interesting season.
Dalton, we're still 10 weeks away from NFL Sunday, and I'm starting to get that itch back. It's about that time they're going to be reporting to training camp here pretty soon, and we're going to be right to the Hall of Fame game before we know it.
Man, I cannot wait. Well, should we jump ships to some MLB news here some with Ron Washington here? You want to get
Yeah,
us started on that?
yeah, unfortunately, Ron Washington will no longer be the Angels manager for the rest of the season, has to step away due to health issues. They haven't elaborated too much full details on what that is, but I don't think we've seen him at the ballpark in the suite. So hopefully it's nothing too severe and hopefully he can have like a still mostly healthy life from it because he's like a great guy. He's one of the best coaches in baseball history and a former Minnesota Twin. So hope we and obviously we don't want health issues inflicted on anybody.
Right. You know, I think my first ever memory of Ron Washington came in the inaugural season over at Target Field in the Legends game. I think he was coaching. He might have been the manager for the Texas Rangers at the time, and I remember correctly, somebody hit a fly ball out to him in left field, and he let it go off a routine fly ball to him in left, and he let it bounce off his glove. And that's kind of my first ever memory of him. I've kind of heard more and more about him since. He truly is a great coach. He's been around baseball his entire life. He's made a tremendous impact on many players. It's just unfortunate, he's probably having to step away from baseball for good as a coach right now. I mean, our best switches are to him and the whole Angels organization and the Washington family.
For sure. And some other manager news, it was recently reported by The Athletic. Rocco Baldelli's option for next year has already been picked up for the Minnesota Twins. And Dalton, how do you feel about that?
I mean, I compare Rocco a lot to, I guess, Mike Zimmer in a way. We're always on the brink of getting there, but we just can't get over the hump with him, seems like. Um, I I'm not a fan of this move, to be completely honest. Twins are, a young ball club right now, and I honestly think he relies too much on analytics. We talked about analytics in earlier episodes, and I mean, they're good in ways, and in other ways, they're not great. And I mean, he lives on them. It just drives me nuts as a fan. Uh, I, I'm not sure who's going to be on the market, looking to become a manager this next off season, but I'm not a big fan of this move.
Yeah, and it just feels like it's poor timing for Rocco for this decision to be announced because it's when it was announced, they were still going through a historic skid, like a really bad skid. So now that's all fresh in everybody's memories that we're on the decline. And yeah, he's all right, but I also don't know, like, he's also been dealt a pretty bad hand this year, too, at the same point where it's like, I just don't know what to think about it. Like, I was like, okay, I guess, like, I wouldn't be disappointed if he left, but it's like, okay, I guess he's still here. Like, it's not like I'm pounding the door either way on it. And it's just, they're always going to be average. And this is part of the reason is they just are okay with the status quo.
Yeah, like I mean, you said it best there. I mean, he's been dealt a couple bad hands this year, which I mean, that's going to happen to every manager through the course of their career, unfortunately, and that's the beauty of baseball. And and just yeah, just the way the Twins have kind of handled the organization here with you know announcing it right after this skid here, and it's going to call for a lot of angry Twins fans like myself.
Right, exactly. And it's just interesting, what's the hurry to pick this option up too?
Hmm.
Like I can't imagine too many other teams are going to be pounding the rock door for Rocco Baldelli. Like, yeah,
Right.
he's a decent manager, but it's not like there's a big market for him and just let it play out. Like if there was another collapse like last year, like how can you have that back-to-back years? And like we're seeing this in June, like hopefully it doesn't happen again in September. Hopefully, like yeah, it's whatever. It's like I don't know. I guess there's okay being mediocre.
Yeah. As a Minnesota sports fan, I feel like we're all too familiar with being mediocre. Um, I'm sick and tired of it.
Right. And like, you feel mediocre when we have a 3 and 4 week. And I was like, you know what? Not that bad,
Hmm.
right? Especially compared to the last few weeks we've had. Like, we didn't lose a series. We went 0-1-1. Like, we actually won a series without actually losing it. And like, I think that was impressive in itself, where it's like you're down 0-2 in the series, you lose the first two, you bounce back and win the other two, and maybe part of it was too Mitch Garver, former Twin, gets his rare start at catcher for the Seattle Mariners, and in the fifth inning takes a foul ball off the side of the head, side of the mask, and ends up having to leave the game. You still have your all-star catcher, and we'll get more into that later. Now, but he's DHing for you. Now he has to come into the game of the catch, and you lose at least one DH at bat. And do you see more managers refusing to let their catchers DH because of this?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I get it on both hands. It's like you need Cal Raleigh's bat in that lineup, and he's a
Right.
really good hitter and one of the best hitters in the American League. And obviously, he can't catch all 162 games. But on the other hand, if something were to happen, like this is the second time this has happened to Mitch Garver against the Twins, like now you're just put in an awful spot. At least this happened in the fifth, where you're losing one at bat and you have a pinch hitter, you can cover it. But I think it's different if you have like a Salvador Perez, who I like me personally, I'd try to teach Cal to play like a little first base, like a spot first baseman. Like just in case something were to happen, you could at least move him from first, and that seems like a little easier to cover for if a situation like this were to arise. And yeah, it just puts them in a tough spot. And like, but I also don't think it happens enough where it should be that big of a worry.
Right. Shoot. Yeah. It doesn't happen a whole lot, but when it does, I mean, it's catastrophic to a team for that game, that series, and even a couple weeks there.
Mhm.
Um,
But I think it also depends. Like you'll see it more because like Twins will do it with Christian Vasquez and Ryan Jeffers. It's like you got to have a good hitting catcher. Your Joe Mauers, your Mike Piazzas.
and them are extremely rare, let's be
Yeah,
honest.
right, which are extremely rare to like, in my opinion, justify it and like put good guys in that lineup. But also another thing I wanted to bring up too is the Twins Sunday. They go up against Tyler Skubal, Sunday Night Baseball, spotlight on them. And you're going to throw out Christian Vasquez and Jonah Bride and expect you to do well in the game. Now, obviously, Tarek Skubal did what Tarek Skubal does and just completely shut down that Twins lineup. But I also feel like they made it almost too easy on him.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Twins have been banged up here, but still, Sunday Night Baseball, this is the type of game that could change the next few weeks. All eyes are on you, and you put that type of lineup out, and obviously you have a poor showing. And
I'm hearing, I can't imagine Jonah Bride's on the team too much longer with Royce Lewis imminent, and he's just
it,
not a major league level hitter. Cody
yeah,
Clement
it
stepped
did
up.
come out today as well. They were calling Lewis back up, and Bride was getting DFA'd. So,
Okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah, I mean, he had one last go around on Sunday Night Baseball, and that was probably one too many showings, in my humble opinion.
mhm.
But yeah, it's just, yeah, it is what it is. And like, it will help to get some of these guys back from injury to have a more major league caliber lineup. Like, I mean, Cody Clemens stepping up, he's regressed a little bit, but he's still pretty good hitter, pretty good hitter. And like, yeah, hopefully some of these guys, it's, hopefully we can stay at sea level now until Pablo Lopez comes back. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah. When Lopez went down, I mean, you could have swore the Titanic was sinking as a Twins fan because it was a tough time for him to go down. Team was obviously struggling, and you lose your ace, and yeah, when it rains, it pours.
It's not a coincidence that a Pablo Lopez injury coincided with the fact that the Twins became the worst pitching staff in baseball. Like,
Hmm.
it kind of sucks, but like, hopefully they can at least improve a little bit. Like, you got to at least improve a little bit. Like, and I'm sure that eventually they will, and like they'll get bounce back and be in position for Pablo Lopez to come back. Hopefully, otherwise we could see Pablo get shut down for the season if it's pointless for him to come back.
Hmm.
But I don't know. It's been a weird week of baseball, and like another thing I wanted to talk about was Ketel Marte. Just like have a pitching mound, and all of a sudden he just starts breaking out sobbing as like the meeting's happening. He's like had to be consoled by teammates, and you're like, well, it comes out later that a fan yelled at him about his late mother who had passed away, and it's like you can't do that as a fan. That's
That's taking it too far. It's great having fans back at the ballpark ever since COVID and all that, but I feel like ever since fans have come back, we've seen more and more interactions where fans have just taken it too far, type of thing. Whether it's people running out in the field, people yelling at players about their late mother, like with Ketel Marte, like, come on, just that's just too far.
because
Yeah,
you see like clips online. It's just like there's way you see it like the right way to heckle players and like have fun while doing it. Like don't be an asshole. And that guy
right.
got banned from all MLB stadiums, so he won't do that again. And I can't imagine too many. I mean, they did a great job of like disincentivizing that behavior by Major League Baseball. One of the few things they can do right,
Yeah,
but they were able to disincentivize this behavior.
agreed. Yeah, just I mean, I can remember going to games growing up where fans would heckle players, but it wasn't anything personal. It wasn't attacking any family members. It was, oh, they made an error. Oh, you bum.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean,
just personal attacks. Just it drives me nuts as a fan. Drives me nuts as a player. Drives me nuts everywhere. I don't know.
for sure. I feel like we will see fewer and fewer incidents of this. And I haven't seen too many people on that guy's side.
Right. I mean, I think the people that are on that guy's side are just bots. I mean, let's be completely honest, that are doing it to be funny, which is still uncalled for.
Right. Exactly.
Or or they're just terrible people. I don't know.
You never know. You never know. But Dalton, I'm super excited for this. I'm excited to see who you vote for, but I think it's time for a little MLB All-Star voting.
Let's do it.
So we're now into phase two of the All-Star ballot. This is just you vote for 50% of the players available. This occurs after phase one, where it's like every team has a representative. This is now where the top X players, depending on the position, most are two. Outfield is six or four, depending on some circumstances I'll explain a little bit later, but now we're just at the phase two where it's a lot easier of a decision to make. Like who's better, player one or player two? Like now is player three who didn't make it to this point better than both of them? Depends, but we're voting with the hands we get.
Mhm. Yeah, then I think we should also mention the two automatic starters for the AL and NL, or for the AL, Aaron Judge, for obvious reasons. And for the NL, it will be Shohei Ohtani as the DH, and Aaron Judge will be playing in the outfield. So,
Yeah, oh, I was about to say for Otani for even more obvious reasons. Like they
yeah.
just have two really good years and they absolutely deserve it. But I will That Aaron Judge is an interesting point. I will bring that up later for one of the things. But Dalton, who are you going to vote for first? Let's start with the first baseman.
So for the AL, I will be taking Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And for the NL, give me the he plays in the Chavez Ravine, Freddie Freeman. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean, I'll also take Vladimir Guerrero over Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, Vladdy's just had a really good season. OPS of over 800, which is really, really good. And like Goldie hasn't had that bad of a year. He's been like this for what, 10 years now, probably at least. Like he's just good. But I don't know, Vladdy's just doing very well this year. And I'll actually take the first baseman on the other side of the country from you and give me Big Meat Pete. He's absolutely raking for the Mets. He's having a really good season, and I think he deserves to be a starter in that All-Star game.
Oh wow, I didn't realize his OPS is over 900.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's pretty good. You don't see, I mean, most teams will take anything over 750, and so 900 is pretty dang good. It's not quite the Barry Bonds like 1400 or whatever he put up. Just, but no, that's still really good.
Mm. All right, moving to second base. I will be taking the Tiger from Detroit for the AL, Gleyber Torres. I think it was pretty obvious between these two, between him and Jackson Holiday. And home run numbers are similar. He's Torres, has 10 more RBIs than him. OPS is almost 100 more. Um, yeah, pretty obvious reasons there. Then in the NL, I'll be taking the Diamondback, Ketel Marte. Um, he's leading. He has 7 more home runs than Tommy Erdman. Very similar in RBIs, and his OPS is over .300 more. So, and yeah, not to mention his batting average is off the charts. So,
I
we
mean, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And it's like, I just love going down the NL ballot, and there's pretty much Dodger representation everywhere. Some of them more deserving than others, but it's good to see
clearly.
Dodgers fans come out and vote. But I absolutely agree. It's Gleyber Torres, Ketel Marte. There wasn't really much of a discussion here on who to vote for either of these guys.
Mhm. Now, moving to third base, the hot corner. And the AL is a very interesting one because we have uh, two very good players with Alex Bregman and Jose Ramirez. Um, this is a tough one. They're very similar in a lot of different ways. Ramirez is batting 309 with Bregman 299. Uh, Ramirez has a slight edge in home runs and RBIs, but then you see Bregman's got his OPS is kind of taken to Ramirez. Um, uh, you know, as someone who appreciates a good a good glove over at the hot corner, I'll take Alex Bregman there. Uh, NL side, I think this one's pretty obvious. Manny Machado and Max Muncy. I'm taking Manny Machado. Batting average is almost .40 more. Home runs are tied. Max Muncy is leading in the RBI department and OPS, but I truthfully think just Manny Machado's more talented. He's better equipped. Yeah, I think Manny Machado's kind of the obvious pick there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Manny the is having a heck of a season, but going back to the AL, I actually am more of a J-Ram guy. He's been an elite bat the last half decade for sure, and like cornerstone of that Guardians franchise, and someone who just is always an elite bat, always a tough out, and I don't know. I think he's having another great season, and I'll send him forth to start that game in Atlanta. And I just completely agree with your Machado points and just screams machismo, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Manny's always the face of the game whenever he's playing, and that's really hard to do considering his teammate is Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of just the way he plays, how intense he is. Um, some people, kind of say that as a negative, kind of how serious he is about the game, which I appreciate it. It truly means, I mean, obviously he's a professional athlete, so it means the world to him. But I love his energy and his intensity. So, first thing that I kind of notice is they're not really hitting the cover off the ball like we've seen in the past. Obviously, Lindor has 16 home runs, but and RBIs are both very similar. I think Lindor plays with a different type of swagger. Is just very different from Betts.
Dalton, I think this is the most star power decision wise, like between the two of them, like concerning all both players have done in the league. Mookie, all the accolades he's had, whether it be in Los Angeles or when he's his career in Boston, I just think this is so star studded. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta go Francisco Lindor. He's just having a heck of a season, and he has just the stats are just better than Mookie Betts.
Yeah. All right, moving on from shortstop, we'll be going behind the plate. We have, for the AL, we have two very productive players this past season or this season here. With Alejandro Kirk from Toronto and Cal Raleigh from Seattle. And you know, I am going to take Cal Raleigh. He's not your prototypical catcher considering he's hitting 32 home runs this season, which is absurd. Kirk might have the better batting average, but the home runs and RBIs are just sticking out way too much for me and not keep have Cal.
If you considering how good of a season Alejandro Kirk is having, and he wasn't even a thought to start as an all-star catcher, just shows how good of a season Cal Raleigh's having. 32 home runs, 69 RBIs, OPS over 1,000 is just incredible out of the catcher, and it's like that's got to go to start the game, like starting the All-Star game, and he is having a exceptional season and probably one of the better ones of all time
Yeah,
from the catcher position.
yeah. Moving to the National League here, we got two uh, somewhat similar options with Carson Kelly and Will Smith. None of these two guys obviously don't have the power numbers of Cal Raleigh, but you know, not home run numbers are very similar. Smith is kind of wiping the floor with them in RBIs and OPS and average as well. So I think Will Smith's kind of the obvious choice here over Carson Kelly.
Yeah, for sure. And another stat I like to look at every once in a while, and I think is changed the way we've seen baseball players is WAR. I've used B WAR, baseball reference WAR. Chad Kelly, 2.5 WAR, so wins above replacement. Will Smith, not the actor, by the way, or the other relief pitcher, or the however many other Will Smiths there are. He's at 3.3 WAR, so that's almost a WAR at this part of the season is incredibly impressive, and I'm gonna vote him in to the All-Star game.
Mhm. Now, moving out to the outfield, as the Twins said, hopefully they said a few years ago, nothing drops but raindrops. Um, uh, this is going to be an interesting one here. On the AL, as we mentioned before, Aaron Judge is automatically in as a starter, so we got two to pick here, and we have four options. So between Javi Baez, Riley Green, Stephen Kwan, and Mike Trout. For the AL, I will be taking Javi or I'm gonna take Riley Green actually, and give me Stephen Kwan. Um, you know, I nothing against Javi Baez. I just can't have two uh, players from the same team in the outfield. My personal preference. Mike Trout, he's had a great career, but I think I still think he's having the type of season that uh, kind of promotes an uh, all-star starting appearance.
Yeah, this is the outfield position and whole have shown the worst cases of fan voting because it's absolutely ridiculous that we can't choose Byron Buxton here. He's had a way better season than Mike Trout. And Javi Baez, as much as I love him, as much as he's had a great season, he's played half his games in the outfield. He's like
Right.
both. And like, I have a hard time holding that against Javi Baez because he is having a really good year, but it's Byron Buxton should be here, and it's also he also got unfortunate that Aaron Judge was the leading voter, so now they take away an extra spot of somebody who could be in here, so you have two votes for four players, and it's absolutely ridiculous because he's had a way better season than Mike Trout. He should
Yeah.
absolutely be in this conversation, but if between the guys that I have to vote for, Riley Green absolutely deserves it. He is absolutely knocking the covers off of baseball, and he is just having a heck of a season. And You know what? As much as I ripped into Javi Baez saying he doesn't deserve to be here, he is having a great year. And like, if I have to vote for him to be an outfielder, I think he should deserves to go to Atlanta.
Alrighty. Now moving on to the NL side of things. Now we do have three positions to vote for here, as Otani will be the DH for the NL, and our choice is Ronald Acuna Jr., the hometown hero, Pete Crow Armstrong, Teoscar Ortiz, Andy Pages, Juan Soto, and Kyle Tucker. Um, I think Ronald Acuna Jr. is kind of an obvious one. He's a lock. I am going to take one of the lower batting averages in these choices with Pete Crow Armstrong. Rookie, 21 home runs right now, 62 RBIs. You might be looking, oh, he's only batting 262. Well, his OPS at 836. So, and 21 bombs. So that's why they're, and I'll be taking, you know what? I'm not quite sure who I'm going to take this third pick here. I'm really stuck between Andy Pages at this point and Kyle Tucker. Um, Shoot, give me. You know what? Cubs are getting two starters in the outfield. Uh, yeah, Kyle Tucker, 17 home runs, 291 average, 52 RBIs. Enough said.
Oh, absolutely. Like Ronald Acuna was one of the easier choices here, especially having a really good season in front of his hometown Atlanta fans. Pete Crow Armstrong, obviously having another great season, center field, elite defensively, also deserves to be there. But then I have another gripe with fan voting. Where's James Woods? He just got
Exactly.
like if you're an intentional walk stat and Barry Bonds is also in that stat, you're having a really good season. And like for him not to be there, so we could have Tay Oscar Hernandez as one of our options to vote for is completely ridiculous.
Or
And
no disrespect to Juan Soto, but I mean he's having a great year. Just come on, man.
yeah, I mean, we're both looking like we both like. I think a lot of baseball fans could agree that the best players weren't available to choose in this option, and I think that's a slight problem that needs to get addressed and needs to get fixed. To have some of these, but like we say that, but like James Woods is still going to make an All-Star team. Byron Buxton's going to be the Twins All-Star, so it's not like they're that out of it and like they're costing them a lot, but it's just annoying at some points that you're not voting for the best players.
Mhm.
But I said already Ronald Acuna, PCA in there, and I don't know. I don't think Juan Soto is having that bad of a season either. But Kyle Tucker, I mean, you said it. He's been a great addition from that Houston Astros team to that Chicago Cubs team, and it's interesting to me. The Astros don't miss him. It's like they just lose all these great players, Carlos Correa, Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, and they just never skip a beat. And it's how they do it, I don't know. It's like I don't think the trash cans are still there, so I don't how do they do it?
I love that.
And Dalton, our last vote of the day, Ben Rice, Ryan O'Hearn for the American League DH.
I think this one's pretty obvious to be completely honest. I think Ryan O'Hearn's the guy. I mean, he's batting 293 compared to 233. Ben Rice might have the home run edge by three, but Ryan O'Hearn, I mean, statistically, I think he's obviously should be the starter. So I'll take him.
Yeah, I mean he's having a better season than Ben Rice, but I don't know. I don't really care. They're not having that great of a season, especially compared to the National League representative of Shohei Ohtani.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, we could go whatever. Yeah, Ryan O'Hearn. He's having a better season than Ben Rice.
Yep.
Oh. Is that the most damning thing you can say about an All-Star voting? Yeah, I guess he's having a better season than that guy.
I don't know.
Like,
Uh,
like I don't know. Like, yeah, it's just whatever. Like, it is what it is.
right.
And
All
yeah,
right. Well, should we submit these picks here?
yeah, I think we do. We submit it. We did our role. All right, Dalton. Now that we're done with All-Star voting, I think we're going to do a quick checkup on Gopher football recruiting. And unfortunately, Pierce Peterson is not coming back to the Gophers. He recently committed to Penn State, and I don't know. even without him, I think the Gophers still have a decent looking recruiting class.
Yeah, I would have to agree. As much as, many Gopher fans wanted him, I think he kind of looked at, he's a projected tight end, and Penn State's had a lot of success developing tight ends over there. And I truthfully think that was probably the smart move for him to go there and get developed in that James Franklin system. And I wish him the best. As a Gopher fan, I'm a little ticked. So I really thought we would have something special with him and Voss. But I mean, you look at it, Voss is also projected to be tight end, and so that's kind of the unfortunate thing about two of the top players in the state of Minnesota this year, both projected to play the same position. Just Gophers end up getting the higher rated one recruit wise. So hopefully we can keep him rated higher throughout his college career. And who says he doesn't come back to the Gophers as well? We've seen guys like Jackson Howard and Quinn Carroll in recent years transfer back to the University of Minnesota from Notre Dame and LSU. So
Right, exactly. It is what it is. He wasn't it was going to be hard to him for him to fit into that Gophers offense. Like I could see him play. He probably would have had to play like a linebacker for the Gophers, and if he didn't want to do that, yeah, go play tight end for Penn State. I don't think that's too bad of an alternative, but it is like I think it would have been a lot worse had Roman not also committed first. So it happens. You're not going to win every one. It happens. I mean, otherwise it's been pretty quiet. Otherwise, no other commits.
yeah, otherwise, yeah, Voss was our most recent commit, which obviously, and then the summer splash with him was a very big deal, taking the top three players in the state, our top three rated players, as verbal commitment right now. So hopefully we can keep them committed. And but some other news, the Gophers just announced who will be attending the Big Ten Media Days out in Vegas on July 23rd. And some people may think that this is obvious. Coach Fleck will obviously be there as the head coach. Darius Taylor, very obvious one. Coy Parrish, he'll be making his appearance, which I mean, I that was also pretty obvious. Holding down the secondary and holding down the D line will be Anthony Smith. Former four-star recruit. He really kind of came on in the back half of the year. He'll be the anchor of the Gopher D line this year, and I'm really excited for him to go out there and talk about the defense. Then, as many Gopher fans know, uh, we don't have it. We will have a new starting quarterback this year. Coming in for Max Brosmer, and well, the starting quarterback, who they're saying is going to be the starting quarterback, which I think this just about all confirms it. It's the 6'5" gunslinger from Fayette, Arkansas, or from Fayetteville, Arkansas, redshirt freshman Drake Lindsay. It sounds like he's really taken that next step this past offseason. He'll be going out to Vegas to represent the quarterback room, and this is a really big deal because I don't think in my memory since Tanner Morgan we sent a quarterback out to media days, and that just kind of says the praise they have for this young kid. He's 6'5", 225. The way it sounds, he's got a cannon for an arm. He did have some playing time last season, just late in games, and he seemed like he was productive. And so the Gophers are, giving him the keys to the car here, and very exciting time to be a Gopher fan.
Oh, absolutely. And the biggest thing I noticed is like all four of those players, they're all young. Coy is going to be a sophomore. Drake Lindsay, redshirt freshman. Darius
Mhm.
Taylor, also young, also could be back even for another year. Anthony Smith,
Sure.
also super young, also going to be back next year. And like that just says a lot, like that you can have the faces of your team be faces of the team for multiple years, and hopefully they can grow. And like Lindsay's going to have potentially 4 years to be the starting quarterback, and I'm excited to see what happens and watch his growth throughout the years.
Yeah, I have watched some of his high school stuff, and here he honestly reminds me a lot of Max Brosmer. big arm, stands in the pocket type of kid. I was a little worried to be completely honest that we were getting another Tanner Morgan. No disrespect to Tanner, but just kind of a slant thrower that has always had a lot of success with two NFL receivers. But Drake's got a big arm, and from what I've read from Ryan Burns and Tony Liebert and everything, and I mean they've said he can make all the throws with ease, and not your typical go for quarterback being 6'5". I can't remember the last time we've had a 6'5" quarterback. So very exciting stuff there.
Yeah, it's will be interesting to see like how they progress and how they do and how they do this year and like media days in Las Vegas. So I'm sure hopefully they have a good old time there.
Yeah. Well, should we get to my personal favorite part of the show?
Yeah, I mean we got to. I mean everybody's waiting to find out.
So this week, my local legend isn't one particular person. It is a particular ball club. I guess we could call it two ball clubs, as a matter of fact. First, with the host of this tournament, the Rosen Express. This is a Class C town ball team out in the western part of the state, just west of Orton or southwest of Ortonville, small community. And well, they had a recent town ball tournament out there, and the winner of that tournament ended up being the Waverly or Montrose Waverly Stingers. And the reason these uh, both these teams are my local legend is because the trophy they received. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys need to look it up. I mean, it is a piece of art. I will say so. Bush Light and Minnesota Town Ball go together like peanut butter and jelly. This is a perfect description of Minnesota Town Ball with this trophy. I saw photos of it being built and players for drinking beers and adding to the trophy in the making of it. And the way it sounds is it was finished during the game from during the championship game. So I just think that's freaking awesome. Uh, I'm not one to endorse drinking, but I mean, when doing Falcon Minnesota Town Ball, I mean, cold beer is a must. This trophy is just awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's cool. It's like, and that's like what Town Team is all about. It's a bunch of fans watching some baseball, drinking responsibly.
Mhm.
I mean, like obviously, like drinking responsibly to like have a fun little trophy because Town Team ball, yeah, it's serious, but like you want to win, but it's about having fun too, and like the atmosphere around it is what makes Town Ball so special, and this just adds to it.
Last summer, I played town ball down at Winona, and we went up and played Red Wing on a Friday night. And I'm not going to mention what the score was, but it wasn't pretty. We kind of got our butts handed to us that night. But after the game, they came over to our dugout. Hey, you guys want a couple beers and some some pizza from the stands? So we ended up staying about 2 hours after the game. We ended up leaving about 2 hours after and drinking Busch Light with them. And the two communities that aren't even really that small, but town ball brings those two towns together. I mean, moments were heated during the game, I will say, even though we got our butts kicked. But for I mean, baseball and beer brings people together, especially in small town Minnesota. Um, it- yeah, if you guys have never attended a small town Minnesota town ball game, highly recommend. Especially Stearns County. Shout out to them. Those atmospheres are incredible. As what was it? One of the St. Cloud Times writer said probably 10 years ago, the town ball team has three things in it: a baseball field, a bar, and a church. So that's kind of the way things roll around those parts, and it's something unique.
Absolutely, there's nothing quite like it, and there's nothing like Minnesota Town Ball in any other state. I don't know. I think it's just interesting too. Like Indiana has likes to say the phrase in 49 states it's basketball. Here it's Indiana, and I think you could apply that same sentiment to Minnesota.
Mhm. Yeah, and a lot of people are probably thinking, it's typical beer league. These guys aren't very good. I mean, that is the furthest thing from the truth. a lot of these guys, I mean, Corey Koski, former MLB player, plays in it. I mean, all these guys were former Division One players. I mean, Division Two All-Americans, very good Division Three players. I mean, there's a lot of really good baseball out in the field, and they're very competitive. I mean, you see a lot of arguing with umpires, unfortunately, but that just shows how intense they are, and the umpires take it too. They're not just going to throw you out. I mean, they know why you're arguing. It's a very loose and different atmosphere, which that's why Minnesota loves it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a great time to go to one of those games. So would highly recommend.
Well, before we end here, if any of you listeners want to comment on who you think will be taking our nine-hole golf outing this coming Sunday here between Max and I, drop your predictions down below. I personally, I've been swinging it pretty well lately. You know, I met my pitching wedge pretty well. Drivers up, figured out my drive today, and close to 3 hundo consistently. Max better watch out.
Yeah, I'm not even going to use my clubs, and I have zero doubt in my mind who is winning this.
All right.
I mean, Dalton, we also excited. We got some new different types of content coming out next week. I mean, Dalton and I think we're going to go head to head a little quiz action. We're going to have a special guest host next week. So, I mean, I'm excited for what we have coming up.
Yeah. And, as we kind of get into the lull of sports, unfortunately, we're going to be creating some new content for you guys, and hopefully you guys have some fun watching it, and we're going to have some fun doing it as well. We'll be releasing some details on social media here soon, but stay tuned for some interesting things that'll be going on. You know, so you got anything else to add?
I mean, they better watch out. It's going to be some good content.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.